What's up, guys? I'm stoked for this one. We got another combat footage from these guys. Resonance. Oh, these guys right here, and it says Foreign Legion at war in Ukraine. I'm assuming they're talking about the International Legion here, which is what I was in. So I'm excited to watch this. Quick background: my name is Saxon. I went by Vegas in the International Legion. Before I joined the Legion, I was a firefighter and an EMT just outside Fort Worth, Texas. Had no combat experience, came to Ukraine to help. They told me to join the Legion. I joined the Legion, ended up in an infantry battalion on the front line for a few months. So let's check this out. Also, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. A lot of you guys have been. I just gotta say thank you so much. Please like, comment, subscribe. I love you guys.
Attention.
After Russia's full-scale invasion, thousands of volunteer soldiers from around the world decided to help the Ukrainian people in their war of liberation and join the Foreign Legion of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. In the first month alone, according to official data, more than 22,000 foreign citizens expressed such a desire. How many of them joined and their total number remains a military secret. In this episode, we will meet some of these volunteers, see the operations in which they participated, and find out what motivated them to risk their lives, why, and for what Legionnaires from more than 50 countries are fighting for Ukraine.
People of Ukraine, we are all with you. We're here to support.
So on the fourth day, after the Russian invasion, all foreigners who decided to join the Ukrainian Defense Forces were granted full visa-free entry. Most of them were from Western European countries and North America. But later, the geography expanded significantly. The formation of the Foreign Legion was handled by the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine. One of the first to arrive to help the Ukrainians was this group of British soldiers, led by Benjamin Grant.
People need me here.
Benjamin Grant, a professional English soldier, served in the Royal Marines for 30 years, has experience of combat missions in Iraq and Afghanistan, the son of a member of the British Parliament from the Conservative Party, Helen Grant. Benjamin Grant managed to assemble an effective combat group from the British, Americans, and Canadians. Just a few months after the outbreak of the war, on May 22nd, in the woods of the Kharkiv region, a group under Ben Grant's command ambushed a Russian armored personnel carrier with anti-tank grenade launchers.
Go! Shoot it now! Look, shoot it! Get up the back bar! Up the back bar! Go, go! It's moving towards us!
According to the official Rosguardia report, Chechen Adam Basultanov, a commander of the occupation forces, was destroyed in that battle in a hit armored personnel carrier. This was one of the first successful operations of the soldiers of the International Legion. Foreign volunteers have fought for Ukraine since 2014.
I didn't even know that, and I also don't know or didn't recognize any of these guys, but this is very cool.
Part of the anti-terrorist operation, and later, the operation of the joint forces. But it was with the beginning of the Great War that their number increased many times. For the first time, military professionals began to join the Ukrainian army en masse, mainly from the USA and Great Britain. Some of them fought in Syria, some in Iraq, some in Afghanistan, and the list goes on. We have our experience. In any case, group commanders should be Ukrainians with good foreign language skills and combat experience. The foreign soldiers received their first baptism of fire during the most difficult period of the war, when the Russians were breaking through to Kyiv through its suburbs, the town of Irpin. By sending the newly arrived legionaries into battle immediately, military intelligence took a big risk because there was simply no time for them to get coherent, and no one knew whether the foreigners would live up to the expectations placed on them. They definitely justified it. In my subjective opinion, their greatest role, let's say, was during the battles for Kyiv region, when every soldier counted, and additional forces of foreigners that we simply formed from the wheels, as they say, began their combat journey immediately, mostly on the territory of Irpin. We simply recruited them, issued them weapons, organized them into units, and together with our special forces, they acted on the front line, exactly where it was most needed. This is a video of combat work in Irpin in March 2022 by a group of the Foreign Legion called Bravo. It was headed by then 38.
This is cool. You can tell this is really early on, obviously, because March, right, of 2022. All of them are wearing like different outfits, and like that one guy, let's see if we can find him. He's not even wearing camo. He's just out there. This guy, like, fuck it. He's got his plate carrier and his rifle. Nobody has a helmet. Crazy.
It was headed by then 38-year-old Lieutenant Ken Ree, a former Marine Special Forces officer from South Korea.
Wow.
Ken Ree is a former Navy SEAL and a lieutenant in the Special Forces of the Navy of the Republic of Korea. After completing 8 years of service, Ree held several government positions in his homeland, working for the U.S. State Department and the United Nations. In the first battles in Irpin, in the urban area, Ken Ree clearly commanded his men during the planning of routes, advancement, and first fire contacts with the enemy. The Bravo group did not lose their cool in a critical situation either. They promptly assisted their wounded comrade in arms and evacuated him in time.
You lift him up on your shoulder. Before we pass it out, we gotta get out of here. Okay? Let's go.
At that time, near Kyiv, the Russians suffered their first strategic defeat, and American soldiers fought side by side with Ukrainians.
1, 2, 3, 4 Russian tanks taken out. Now, I don't know if you guys know what this is behind you, but that's a Russian tank. Russian tank that was taken out. Welcome to America.
They played a role in the destruction of the enemy airborne force group that was operating there at the time, and ultimately in the liberation of the entire Kyiv region. All these events helped create the conditions for Russia to be forced to withdraw.
There's a few guys in the barracks where I had training for the Legion. There was a handful of guys who they were rotating back through training, mostly because they got injured at some point, but they had been in what they call the Battle for Kyiv, or the Battle of Kyiv, and it looks like that's what they're talking about here. But I heard it was gnarly, man.
Kyiv region, when it all started. Not everyone here knew how to shoot a javelin or a stinger. We watched YouTube and learned how to operate them, how to launch a rocket. And the foreigners who came here, they were already experts, great operators. And these are probably the strengths of the soldiers who are coming here. They are narrowly focused on NATO weapons, which they have mastered long ago, not only at the training ground, but also in combat. In June 2022, the defense of Severodonetsk became much more difficult combat test for the Legionnaires. A large industrial city, the second largest in Luhansk Oblast, became a tasty morsel for the Russian invaders. In Severodonetsk, the Legionaries had to fight fierce urban battles with the enemy in dense residential and industrial buildings. Louis the Shark, we're moving forward. We're about to cross the street. Cover us.
1, 2, go!
Rapid movement in small combat groups.
This looks a lot more similar to where, like the time frame that I was in, based on what these guys are wearing. They're all rocking. Almost everybody's rocking some kind of anti-tank rocket. These disposable, single use, and throw them. 2, go. Bull spikes.
Rapid movement in
Bull spikes or NLAWs, I think.
small combat groups.
Okay, guys, move.
Where? Other side?
No, you stay here.
Yes.
All other guys, move. Go, 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 go.
Intense small arms fighting at short distances. Active use of not only small arms, but also heavy infantry weapons, such as Matador grenade launchers.
Attention.
Intense hostilities lasted the longest on the territory of the largest industrial
These guys look very professional. I'm actually very impressed. This is cool, man.
enterprise of the Sarajevo-Donetsk chemical plant, Azot. It was the hottest place because Ukrainian soldiers held it for a long time as the last defensive line. The plant had a large number of workshops and various industrial buildings, and the enemy was constantly razzing them to the ground with artillery and aircraft. Him and me actually fought together in Sarajevo-Donetsk and also in Bakhmut. And for me, it was the urban battles that were the most difficult. Urban warfare is completely different from any other type of warfare because the enemy can be around every corner, especially here in Ukraine. Many buildings have a large network of basements, so you have to additionally clear the premises underground because enemies can come out of one building, go through the basement that is connected to your building, get out and just shoot at you from below. So it's really hard. There are a lot of things going on. You don't control everything. Half the time, nobody knows what's going on. But we survived it. We overcame it as much as we could. In this footage, several groups of foreign volunteers, armed with Czech CZ assault rifles and Matador grenade launchers, are conducting an offensive operation in a large industrial and logistics complex with a postal terminal inside. Belarusian units also took part in the operation. The main thing in such battles is coordination and reliable communication. Pirate on the line. I'm in touch. Talk. We've entered the 6th building. We'll go through the post office to flank them. Warn the Belarusians not to have any friendly fire. All movements between the structures are very fast and only under the cover of intense small arms fire from one or more soldiers.
These, again, those of you who have been here for a while know understand that I'm no combat expert. This being in Ukraine, and I'm still in Ukraine, was the first time I had ever been in combat, and it was only, a couple missions. But I will say this, the way these guys are moving, the speed, the way they are covering each other, the way they're stacking up on the side of this building like this, shows me that these guys, every single one of these guys has some kind of prior, probably special forces experience. They're, the way they handle their weapons, everything, you can tell.
Споруді і великий кинжальний вогонь з верхніх, зручніших поверхів на коротких дистанціях. Відтак легіонерам, щоб просуватися вперед і вибивати противника, довелося долати значні відстані всередині великих будівель, постійно переміщуватися вгору-вниз сходами, пролазити по підвалах, подекуди виходити на дах і вже по ньому перебігати на потрібні позиції. На одному з цих сходових прольотів відбулася справжня гра зі смертю. Ворожі кулі дивом не зачепили одного з бійців.
Intense fierce shooting battles continued for.
It looks like right when this guy comes down the stairs, a round flies into the skid right where he was. Watch.
Intense fierce shooting battles continued for every room.
Yeah, I was right there.
Одного з бійців.
Right here.
Intense, fierce shooting battles continued for every room and corridor, every floor and every building.
Незважаючи на відчайдушний
Despite
героїчний
desperate heroic
спротив, українські
resistance,
сили
Ukrainian
наприкінці
forces were
червня
forced to leave
22-го року
Severodonetsk
були
at the end
змушені
of June
залишити
2022
Сєвєродонецьк, щоб не
to avoid being
потрапити в
surrounded by
оточення
the enemy.
противника.
When we were brought there, 80% of the city was already in the enemy's hands, and we entered very late. There is a river there, and only one bridge was working. Later, it was destroyed. And after that, we could not bring anything to the city or in the opposite direction. We also lost our flanks there. Everything was not done very well. There were many firefights with them. Personally, with the Chechens, or rather the Kadyrov's men. Yes, they lost a lot there. But the difference is that every life is more important and valuable to us than them. Reddy Berduli, call sign Viking, citizen of Georgia, deputy commander of an assault group. He graduated from the National Defense Academy of Georgia, served for 2 years in Afghanistan as part of the Georgian contingent. He joined the International Legion of Ukraine. He participated in combat operations in Kyiv region, Seryovo-Donetsk, and Bakhmut. He was wounded twice in battles, but after treatment, continued the armed struggle against the Russian invaders.
There's another really popular legion out here in Ukraine called the Georgian Legion, and the International Legion and the Georgian Legion sometimes get confused with each other, but they are different. They will work together, certain operations, but regardless, the Georgians are some fierce fucking fighters, dude. The Georgians are very cool. They're kind people, right? But they will hold their ground. It's pretty crazy.
No one has done much harm to Georgia as Russia has done. They are imperialists, chauvinists. They think that they're some great nation, the best in the world, that everyone else should be their vassals. And it's been like that for 300 years. If you know the history of your country, you realize that it is impossible to negotiate with evil. Evil must be destroyed.
300. He said it's been like that for 300 years. That's longer than the entire history of the United States of America. Think about that. That's so crazy. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, the U.S. is such a baby nation still, you know? And somewhere like Russia has been just kind of been tyrannical, depending on which leader was in charge at the time, to so many of its neighboring countries.
The traditionally strong Ukrainian-Georgian friendship prompted Rady and hundreds of his compatriots to come and fight at their own risk. They remember well August 2008, when Russia attacked Little Georgia. That short, 5-day war was a precursor to this much longer and bloodier one. Volunteer soldiers, not only from Georgia, but also from other countries in the neighborhood of aggressive Russia, understand its invasive imperial nature like no other. Robert, a Polish citizen, he served in the Polish army for 2 years. He has been fighting for Ukraine since the beginning of the invasion as part of the International Legion. During one of the combat operations, he was wounded by grenade fragments. After a month of treatment, he returned to his unit. The Polish Legionnaire has experienced heavy urban battles in Seryovo-Donetsk, and then even more intense bloody ones in Bakhmut. Enemy assaults, exhausting trench and positional warfare.
Я багато разів говорив зі своїми друзями про загрозу, яку становить Росія для всієї Європи, включаючи Польщу. Потрібно, щоб Польща постійно допомагала Україні, щоб їй не бракувало зброї, танків чи гуманітарної допомоги, тому що вона стоїть на захисті всіх.
I've said this since the beginning of this conflict, that if NATO and the West let the leash off of Poland would fuck up Russia with the help of Ukraine. You know, if Poland was allowed to come in with Ukraine and they do joint operations together, there's no doubt in my mind Poland and Ukraine would stomp out Russia, probably take it to Moscow. Let me know what you think, but there was a bunch of Polish people in the Legion just like this guy, and they were all just beasts, dude. I mean, all of them were disciplined, well trained, spoke English. I don't know, pretty cool, but
Всієї Європи, в тому числі і Польщі. Україна бореться не лише за свою незалежність, вона воює за незалежність усіх наших країн. У нашій групі були британці,
In our group,
американці.
there are
В нашій
Brits,
групі був
Americans,
ще один
another
поляк,
Pole,
були
and
шведи.
Swedes.
Ми були добре
We were a
організовані.
well-organized
Ми
group.
були
We were like
одне
brothers
для
to each
одного,
other.
як брати.
Money was not the main thing for
Гроші ні
anyone
для
here.
кого там не були
How can you go on
головними.
assault
Як
for
можна
money?
йти у штурм за
This is
гроші?
life.
Це життя.
Anything can
Це
happen
може
here.
бути таке, що
And it may
вирішити
happen that
не
you don't
можеш
survive the
під час
assault.
штурму. За гроші
No
сюди
one came here for
ніхто не
money.
приїхав.
The Ukrainians, together with former experienced American Special Forces, planned each combat operation in a clear and detailed manner. How do you move? What is your order of movement when you are on the way out? Whether you are second or third in, Alpha group or Bravo group. What kind of car are you in? What is your role in the car? Who is in charge of the car? Who is the second in command? What weapons will you take with you? Heavy weapons, equipment for the team, what the plan is. But in a war with such a powerful and insidious enemy, there are times when things don't go according to plan.
Am I better out there with the guns facing on the street?
No, I don't think you can see these guys.
Okay. Small ones are hitting us.
In this video, a group of Legionnaires is engaged in heavy defense urban fighting in Bakhmut, Donetsk region in the spring of 2023. Russians constantly shelled the positions of the Legionnaires in the building with mortars and artillery. Coming out of the shelter while moving in the open in the thick smoke of explosions and collapsed structures, one of the fighters lost his comrades.
Where you at?
In these apocalyptic ruins, under constant artillery fire, one of the Legionnaires lost his bearings for a while, but later found his comrades in arms, and then they continued to perform their combat.
this happens more than you would probably expect. So many. Well, I say so many, but it's all relative, right? There were multiple instances where we lost guys, and it wasn't because they were hit or even wounded, but they were just genuinely lost because the confusion of the firefight, or when the conflict started, whatever, they got lost in the mix of it, or when they were moving, or this happens more than you'd think.
That mission together.
Watch that way, watch that way.
Yeah. Go ahead. Last man, last man.
The intensity is like nothing I would ever have expected. I grew up watching videos, learning about Iraq, Afghanistan. Those are the wars that my father went to, that my friends went to, just to fight as similar to World War II. But again, only that I know from that is from watching films, reading books, so on and so forth. The intensity of the artillery, the rockets, the missiles, the grads, been in some pretty sticky situations where I should definitely be dead. And experiencing that firsthand and sitting on the front line or going out on missions where you're just getting chased by drones and artillery. The main.
Hands up! Ruki! Ruki!
Encore un giron d'enculé sous la guitare de la monnaie.
There are many French among the Legionnaires. These two are singing the song Blood Sausage, the anthem of the French Legion, a cadre military unit of the French army.
Pour les Belges, jamais plus, ce sont des tyrans au cul.
There are also many Spanish-speaking volunteers.
This is interesting. Cool picture. Yeah, there is a lot of Spanish-speaking fighters where I was in a third battalion or third battalion infantry. Sorry, I thought I recognized that guy. But when we deployed, I was with Charlie 3 platoon, and in Charlie there were other parts of Charlie, right, that were just Spanish speaking. So if you came from the training base like we all did, but your main language was Spanish, you would be put into one of these Spanish speaking platoons.
Volunteers from South America fighting for Ukraine. These Colombians have extensive experience in wars with drug cartels in their homeland.
Lots of
The
Colombians.
guys send greetings to their Ukrainian friend.
Aquí desde las trincheras de Ucrania. Saludos de Aquiles. Un abrazo.
In addition to foreign nationals from Western allies and post-Soviet states, more and more Russians are joining the Ukrainian army. Those who have realized the criminal, misanthropic nature of the Kremlin regime. This is just a small part of the stories and examples of the great heroism of the Foreign Legion soldiers. We thank everyone who supports Ukraine in our war of liberation. We really appreciate it. The link to the official information on how to join the Foreign Legion will be left in the description to the video. And also, please, friends, subscribe to our second backup channel, Resonance Plus. There, you will.
That's cool, man. This is actually really cool to see something specifically about the International Legion. I have seen that there's some actual, I think at least one official, I don't know exactly how official it is, but official International Legion YouTube channel, and I want to watch some of their content too. But this was badass. My thoughts, I mean, for me personally, the International Legion was a life-changing experience, and there was some very shitty parts of it, but all in all, I consider it one of the best experiences of my life. Now, I can say this because I'm one of the few people that was lucky enough to not get injured, to obviously not die, or get too messed up. I would say upwards of 70% of the guys I deployed with are either dead or injured. I had somebody ask me, why did you end up leaving the Legion after a handful of months that you were in? And this is a great question, and it's tough for me sometimes to put words to it because I don't want to say anything negative about the Ukrainians or the Ukrainian armed forces or anything like that. But the truth of the matter is, when we deployed and went on a couple of missions, I realized that everybody has an expiration date. And I've said this in other videos, but I knew that death was pretty much imminent. Death or being wounded, and if you're wounded, you come back. Everybody has an expiration date, and you're sitting in these trenches and you're getting shelled the entire time, 24, 48 hours at a time. You're just waiting for one of these to drop in your trench. It's you're not going out in a blaze of glory like the movie Fury or Saving Private Ryan, or no. You're sitting there probably eating an MRE in your trench, and if that one has your name on it, you're done. So, but that's a part of war, right? So this part of it, to an extent, I had already come to terms with. You have to if you're going to join something like the Legion and deploy to the front. But I guess the part that I did not expect at all was the amount of substance abuse that there was on the front line, and how many accidents were taking place on the front in combat because people were under the influence. So I made a decision after my last mission that I wasn't going to die. I was not going to die for some stupid shit. If I die fighting the Russians, okay, that's what I signed up for, But if I die for some friendly fire, drunken person shoots me in the back of the head while we're on an assault or something, absolutely not. So I talked to the guys, And basically, like, a lot of, at this point, the majority of the guys that I had been with had already left to go back home. Some of them ended up returning later. So it was really me, my platoon command, or he was second IC at the time, Tex. If you watch my channel, you know Tex. Shaka was there still. There was a couple still there. But I basically told him, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to die over some stupid shit. I think personally, because I have a platform, I have my social media and this YouTube, I think I would be of more benefit making content like this. Once we monetize this channel, I can set up a donations page and support, maybe the unit that I was in on the front or a different Ukrainian unit. I can help more doing this than potentially dying by friendly fire on the front. And there was multiple instances, including a time when I actually got into it with a soldier because he wasn't watching where his rifle barrel was. It pissed me off. I smelled alcohol in his breath. I got into it with him. So I'm not going to get too specific because at the end of the day, if I was out on the front line fighting as much as these Ukrainian soldiers are, I would have to be under the influence too, frankly. These guys are absolutely at their wits' end. They have been out there fighting in shitty conditions with very little resources. I don't blame them one bit. So I just want to make sure that's clear. I can't say anything negative about the Ukrainian soldiers in the sense of their just their will to fight. They're amazing people. Okay. So, but I promise that I will tell the truth. And if I did not make that clear, and then one of you guys joined, you got to the front, you saw this was happening, maybe you take a shot in the back from friendly fire or something, maybe sharing my story can prevent a story like that. I don't know. Now I'm fucking rambling, but this was badass. I've got another one coming tomorrow every single day. I am currently in Ukraine. I'm going to be here for the foreseeable future. And I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Like, comment, subscribe. I love you guys. Thank you.